each of us this evening, go through the county's business, allow us to make the best decisions possible, and help us to be the examples you want us to be.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, thank y'all for coming out tonight. Start down the agenda. Any amendments to the agenda? I know we're gonna have a closed session. Else?
Tab 9, I think we need to remove that. The budget's done for 2023, and we don't have any information about it.
Okay, Mr. Hobson, you putting that in form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
Motion on the floor to take out item number 6. Favor?
What is it?
10,
Oh,
9, I'm sorry.
Tab
9.
9.
There's
Add-
no tabs on anything we have. What is
Yeah, it is. On the side.
item 6? We've been provided all that information by the Commissioner of the Revenue. I don't know why we would remove it.
All in favor of removing number 6, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay. Any other amendments to the board agenda? I have one. Add to the end. Want to bring everybody up to speed of what took place in the workshop we had on. All right, moving on. Gentlemen, you had the minutes in front of you. Any corrections, comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve as a block. Thank you, Mr. White. Any more discussion? Those in favor of approving the minutes, June 8th and June 15th, raise your hand. Thing with the financial reports, gentlemen. Motion to approve as a block.
motion to approve?
Floor, any more discussion? In favor of approving the financial reports, raise your hand. Thank you, gentlemen. Folks, that brings us to the public comment time. If I would like to speak, try to keep it to 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Eric Brunson. Speak very briefly. Solar facility. James River Grazing Company, which is a prescribed grazing contractor, solar sites through the use of grazing sheep. I just want to speak very briefly. The developer for this project has approached us to help them develop a feasibility study to evaluate co-locating sheep on this facility to manage vegetation. Just wanted to talk about the benefits of that on the whole, especially for a community with strong rural character. When you co-locate an agricultural enterprise with a solar facility, help create meaningful jobs in the agriculture, which might not exist or might and we can also help bolster the local agricultural. So just wanted to speak very briefly in support.
Robbie Parsons, 5892 West Creek Road. Tell y'all, it's the last time you're gonna see me. Sent several of y'all some more information on this solar. And I don't know if any of y'all saw it on the news, but they reported that California, first states to start using solar panels. One of the first few states that have, their solar panels have done the job. Guess where they're finding them? Finding them in landfills, dumps, not being disposed of properly. They're not being recycled. So what does that tell you? It tells you that you can't trust a company of that size. They're gonna get rid of them any damn way they can. Another thing, they say it's 1 ounce of lead in each solar panel. They're talking about what, 300,000 to 400,000 solar panels. Do the math. That comes up to 25,000 pounds of lead. Has the potential to get in the soil. They're finding in California, the toxins are already getting in the soil out there. They got a predicament on their hand. They've already come in here now. This is something really I don't like. They're making donations. From what I understand, they made a donation to Field Day of the Past. They supposedly made a donation to the Amelia County Fair. Are they trying to buy their way, buy their support? That's dirty pool for any company to come in and just start throwing money around to get support. Like I said, this is the last time I'm gonna be here, whether y'all vote on it tonight or not. I think y'all know what the citizens of the county think about this. It's a whole bunch of them behind me that feel the same way. So y'all know what we think. Decision's up to y'all. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Paulette. My address 17901 Poorhouse Road, Amelia. I come before you again tonight. I ask you to vote no on the solar farm project. I don't want you to vote to postpone it again. I want you to put an end to it. Give you a quick rundown why I want this. Where I live and my neighbors on West Creek Road and Poorhouse Road, we have had to endure the first phase, which was the timber harvest phase. Now, the landowners could do this regardless of whether they were going to work with a solar farm or just harvest what they own. So but their intent was to clear the land for the solar farm. The next phase, if you do approve this, for all of us, will be the land clearing and preparation phase, which will be heavy equipment. A lot of equipment coming in, bulldozers. The land has to be cleared and leveled. There'll be a lot of people working there. Possibly it'll be some people from Amelia, but it'll be a short-term job for them. We've got to put up with the heavy equipment going in. Traffic goes by my back door at 150 feet away on Poorhouse Road. After the land clearing phase comes phase number 3, the construction phase. This will continue for a few months also as they put in the solar panels to get everything ready for operation. Again, heavy equipment, people we don't even know going right by the back door, and all this work going on. And then once this is complete and they're ready to throw the switch and to make it work, they're estimating 30 to 35 years of life of this solar farm. Gentlemen, that is a life sentence plus a few years for me and my wife. I'm 67 years old. 30 years from now, I'll be 97 if I'm lucky enough to still be living. So for the next 30 to 35 years, there will be traffic by my house while they maintain the solar farm. There has to be, I know it can be monitored remotely by computer, but when something fails, people with their hands have got to go in and fix it. So there's more traffic for 30 plus years that I'll have to deal with on my end of it. And then Torch Clean Energy, they're making a big deal out of the $17 billion estimated revenue to the county. That's over a 30-year period. The school budget in Amelia County is more than $17 million per year. What about the other things we need revenue for? Fire department, rescue squad, law enforcement, roads that the county has to take care of that's not state maintained, and many other projects in our community. $17 million in 30 years is nothing. If it was $17 million per year, then I might have a different attitude, but that's just not enough. I believe, and as some of the other constituents, that the only people that are really going to benefit from this will be the landowners where the solar farm will be installed because of the money that they will get. Now, I also read in the Amelia Bulletin Monitor that they want to use, the energy company wants to use as much labor, businesses in Amelia as possible, provide jobs. And that's great, except for one thing. Once the solar farm is built, then those jobs go away. What we need in Amelia is businesses that will provide jobs for years down the road so that our people don't have to go to Richmond and Chesterfield to work and make a living. We need businesses here. We have an industrial park. I know we have a little bit going on there, but not nearly enough. I would suggest and ask you to concentrate more on getting businesses of that type in the county. And as Mr. Parsons just spoke on, the energy company has come forward and, in my opinion, in an underhanded way to sponsor the Amelia County Fair, field days of the past. I'm not going to speak on the county fair because I don't know, but field day of the past I've been involved with for the last 2 years since they have moved here. I've spent a lot of volunteer hours working. And the thing of it is, the executive board of Field Day of the Past are not residents of Amelia County. They live in Goochland County, Louisa County. They had no idea what was going on until I called after I read last week's paper. So they were grateful. And I understand their position. They were grateful for the support and that the energy company gave them. But to me, just like Mr. Parsons, they're buying their way into the county, trying to make people feel good and support the energy company and not us. But now the board, the executive board knows what's going on, and it's up to them what they do with the money or whatever they're going to get. But I think the energy company has hurt Field Day of the Past more than it has helped. I don't know what they donated. I don't care. No amount of money. I don't believe any amount of money is going to really help out. As a volunteer, I'm on this side of the fence. I'm against the solar farm. Tomorrow, I wanted to be on the other side of the fence and continue to be a supporter and a volunteer and keep working to bring this event together in September. And now I'm not sure I'm going to do it. And I think there are other people in the same position that have either volunteered or were considering volunteering, but they are like me, they don't want the solar farm. It's kind of hard to volunteer to an organization that's accepting funds from a business that you don't want. So I think maybe that they did more harm than good. They volunteered there. They decided to support Field Day. One other thing, Mr. Wyan, I direct this directly to you as you're in our district. You represent District 3. I would like to ask you to take a stand for what the people in your district want, not go with the flow and not go with the flow of everybody else. Don't do what your predecessor did. Just go along with whatever was going on. Stand up. Speak for us in District 3. Also, I had an opportunity last week to ride by the little solar farm on Highway 616 at the intersection of 616 and 609 in the Pine Grove area. Last Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember the exact day. I'm surprised the sunlight can get to the solar panels. It is so overgrown. Now, I don't know whose solar farm this is, who's responsible for the maintenance, but that is a real eyesore. If you haven't been over there, you should ride by. My understanding as of Monday this week, it had not been trimmed down. The vegetation is taller What you can see from 616, which is Genito Road, is taller than the solar panels. We don't need something like that on West Creek Road and Poorhouse Road. That's just an eyesore to start with. I was here last month, and Ms. Joanne Webb gave a little speech about what her family has done for the past, have been in the county for over 100 years, and all that her family had done for the county. And I agreed with her on all of that. And if there's anyone here from the Webb family or the Scott family tonight, I ask you, do not mar your good family name. Y'all have done a great job over the many years that I've been here. Don't promote the solar farm and ruin your good name, because it's going to be a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And finally, to the members of the Board of Supervisors, you all have a tough job. I doubt if there's anyone here, myself included, that would want to be in your seat tonight as you take a vote for the solar farm. No matter how you vote, whether you vote for or against it, half of the people here are going to like you, half of the people are going to hate you, despise you. No matter what you do, it's a no-win situation for you all. I commend you for sitting up there and having to listen to all of this. And I don't know what else to say to you, but I'm asking all of you to seriously consider this, think about it, and vote no and put an end to the solar farm project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diana Morris, and I am an Amelia citizen residing on West Creek Road, District 3. Last month, after the Board of Supervisors meeting, my 80-year-old mother, who had been watching the meeting on YouTube, called to talk to me about what she had heard. She said she felt so bad for those people who live on Buckskin Creek Road near the landfill. She asked me, how in the world did the county let this happen, these people? I told her the Board of Supervisors at the time voted for the landfill because of the promise of the big bucks to the county. She said, well, they certainly didn't protect the citizens and worry about their health and well-being, did they? And I said, unfortunately, no, they did not. And that's why they are still suffering daily. Tonight, you gentlemen may decide the future fate of those citizens on Buckskin Creek Road, plus many more surrounding this proposed mega solar installation. I beg you to consider the citizens surrounding this large installation. Vote for the citizens this time and not the promise of big bucks. Please send a clear message that you are here and you were elected by the people, for the people. Please let the people living around this large installation know that the dollar signs are not the only thing you see. See the people, see the children, see your grandchildren. Do the right thing. Vote no for this solar installation. Find a more suitable area that will not affect people. The energy company would have you believe that an installation of this size will not affect people living around it. And they may produce many reports that says solar does not cause health issues. Well, I can produce just as many reports showing documented cases of large solar installations causing severe headaches and other health issues to people. As you can imagine, this is very concerning to anyone living around this area. If you all approve this installation in this area surrounded by citizens, we will immediately be forming a watchdog group to oversee the effects of this construction and operation of this large installation in this residential area. If you all approve this installation and me or any of my neighbors and fellow citizens experience headaches or other health issues in the near future, we will hold the big energy company, property owners, each of you voting yes, and the County of Amelia responsible for those things. Do the right thing. Please vote no for this installation and find another suitable area in the county not affecting citizens. The money will always come. My company, along with other citizens and local companies, have been supporting the Amelia County Fair for 27 years. My company has made a generous sponsorship donation to the Field Days of the past as well. I'm not asking you to allow me to put a harmful installation where citizens live. I donate because Amelia County is important to me. That is why other companies and people donate to Amelia County when things are needed. We do not need large companies bribing us at the expense of our citizens' health. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's Lane Gunn. I'm from Charlotte County. I'm the chair of South Central Business Alliance. Here to speak on the fact that solar farms drive local economies like nothing else. They provide jobs, long-term jobs, benefits small businesses. I'm an estimator and project manager for Red Oak Excavating. We got 15 employees. We've built solar farms, 100 acres. We've assisted on larger solar farms. I'm here to tell you, the jobs stay. Small business owner is sustained. Every day, there's 3 to 10 small businesses around our region that close down because they can't afford the cost of fuel or supplies are outrageous. These solar farms are the boost to the local economy that everybody needs. You know, opposition, and I have spoken to Board of Supervisors from Martinsville to Amelia. This is my first time speaking in front of y'all, and believe me, every time a solar farm comes up, you're going to see me. I'm going to speak in support of them because I know what they do. They support the local people. I've got 15 employees to 20 employees on any given day that I have to support their families of 3 to 7. These solar farms help my company do that. They're long-term. They're great investments for the county. You know, everybody wants to say, don't look at the money that these solar farms come into. A solar farm brings in more money than a business will in an industrial park, and it doesn't hurt your infrastructure. It doesn't use your water. It doesn't use your sewer. You don't have to worry about, oh, can my water treatment plant handle this idea? Because it doesn't use it. As far as wildfires, lightning doesn't discern between grass or hardwood trees or pine thickets or anything out there growing to light the fire. But the cool thing about solar companies, they will train your fire departments how to fight these fires efficiently and stop them quickly. Charlotte County had the same opposition. They came up with the same mess. Oh, they're only 18% of the solar that's going to be brought up into the panels going to be used. Well, if it was only that much, do you really think these people would be trying to invest and build these big farms? I truly don't. It's well over that. Headaches? My daughter has migraines, and they're not caused by a solar farm. The closest one to me is close to 20 miles. And we're working on that one, by the way. Randolph Solar just got approved. Go before the SEC at some point in the next 18 months. It's 1,040 acres. It's a mile from my house. Am I concerned with it? No. Solar is a good neighbor. Once everything is done, yeah, you're going to have construction traffic. Everything around a county does have construction traffic when you build a project of this size, but it goes away. After it's all said and done, it's quiet time. Solar panels don't make noise. They don't bother anybody. You got a 1,000-foot buffer, if I'm correct, between the closest house and this solar farm. You're not even going to see it. You've got a planted buffer. As a board of supervisors, you can sit there and work with the solar developer and make the citizens happy with how it looks. If they're going to maintain it, whether it's grazing with sheep or they're paying a contractor, which, by the way, a solar farm of this size will probably employ 10 to 15 people just to mow the grass. And the prevailing wage is normally $15 to $17 an hour. That's not long-term. Come on, guys. At the end of the day, as chairperson for the South Central Virginia Business Alliance, and we've got 59 businesses signed up between Amelia, Mechanicsville, Martinsville, Danville, Halifax County, which is booming with solar right now, Charlotte County, which is burgeoning, but it's coming to fruition. We've got a few farms, but we got a heck of one in Randolph coming up. You know, we support solar. For the citizens of Amelia County, this is nothing but a plus. The opposition will always try and change your mind, threaten you with this, threaten you with that. But at the end of the day, you're elected to take care of the citizens of your county. By approving this solar farm, I believe you are taking care of the citizens of your county over long term, 30, 35 years. You know, it might not be but $17 million right now, but with taxes and revenue from everybody working on it and local businesses being utilized, it's going to be more than that. There's no reason why your small business owners in this area can't benefit from this project. Have to bring them from out of town. We can build. Thank you for your time.
Robert Carter Bradshaw, Farmville, Virginia. Wife and I came tonight. Nervous. Richmond John Francois Rablet, accomplished acrobat. Known professionally as Charles Blondin. First traveled to America in 1855, where he traveled as part of a circus troupe. In 1958, while on tour, Blondin saw Niagara Falls. He became obsessed with the idea that he was going to be the first person to walk across a tightrope across Niagara Falls. June 30th of 1859, after much preparation, publicity campaign developed, Blondin crossed the gorge, trench rope, distance of 1,100 feet, cheers of a crowd of estimated to be 25,000 people. Population of Amelia County. Many times Blondin crossed this gorge on this rope. One particular time after he had demonstrated his professionalism and his feats of acrobatic feats, he loaded some stones in a wheelbarrow, crossed the gorge one more time on the rope. He came to the crowd of 25,000. He asked, did they believe he could do it again? The crowd went crazy. Turned to one man and says, do you believe? They all cheered. In this wheelbarrow. Said a word, nobody volunteered except his manager. The manager didn't get in the wheelbarrow. The point I'd like to make with this story, you notice that I tried a different tack than everybody else because these people live here. I just got timber down here in Amelia. Family, the Jackson family. I want to make feel that this Amelia Energy LLC is asking the citizens and the landowners in Amelia County get in this wheelbarrow. We don't have enough information. We don't trust them. We have facts that have come from all over the state of Virginia. Dominion has a biomass plant in Fauquier County, thanks to the green legislation, being shut down because of legislative priorities have shifted. There is a dairy up in that Barack Obama and Tom Perriello invested $1.5 million in a methane factory facility. After a few years, it literally collapsed. Red Birch Energy biodiesel plant, encased in kudzu. My friend Charla Bansley, and she's on the Board of Supervisors in Bedford County, saying that they're voting no. Louisa County Board of Supervisors formed a utility scale solar development committee, which has already recommended against the development of future solar projects. There was a news report of a father and son that after they had installed a solar farm near them, the erosion to their farm. I didn't catch what the gentleman said, something about the farms, solar farms down in certain counties. But I talked to the Republican Party. He's the chairman of the local Republican Party down in Mecklenburg. Yeah, they don't want it. Numerous comments, information that I have received tell me no. No. I understand y'all in a very tough situation. We don't have to tell y'all that. Y'all know it. Y'all asking one of the things that I brought up to the planning commission, we're asking folks to bet the farm on a 40-year experiment. I kind of like what the gentleman said, that he didn't think he's going to be here 30 or 40 years. Grandson, here. There's a number of facts here, and I'm out of time, I'm sure, but a number of things just tell me to ask y'all vote no. I thought my little story about the wheelbarrow.
Hello, Martin Conkle, 16211 Church Street. That's going to be a hard act to follow, but I'm going to try here. So whatever you do on the solar panels tonight, just please, let's vote, get this over with, move on to the next thing. I trust you guys to do what's best for the county, everybody in the county, what the people want overall. Do appreciate that. I know it's not an easy thing to do sometimes. We're still talking about the shooting range later. We're going to go over the details on that. For the sheriff's department?
We'll talk. It won't be a public hearing.
Okay, there will be one later though, maybe? Okay, I'm just curious what the details are when it comes up to that's fine. I just want to say if it's
I'd
something
like
that
to
is-
know also, so you're not alone.
Okay.
All we've received is pictures of land.
I got you. Just as part of the conversation, when we get to that point and learn more, if it is something we're going to invest local money into it for the community, I'm not against it, depending on what the cost is and stuff. I just hope it has an overall benefit for the community. There are many of these shooting ranges that police departments, they're for the police departments, but they are open to the public. Sometimes it's a Saturday a month, every Saturday. I just hope it's something that maybe if we're going to put some money investment in, that it can benefit the whole community and maybe something everybody can utilize when we get to that point. Thank you.
Justin Wade, 6101. I'm not going to say much this time. Y'all have heard me 2 other times now. I'm just going to say, Sean, she's right. I hope you represent my district as me as a landowner in the district of me trying to prosper from my land. That's all I really have to say to that. I hope y'all vote yes. Thank you.
Keep his comments to around 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Allison Cruz. I live on Perkinson Road. Bill is at the ass of me. Before I get started, I wanted to just share, I think I've communicated with y'all, but I am pro-solar, but I'm not a fan of this project. I have solar panels on our double wide, and I think they have their place. But I'm not a fan, again, of this project. I also wanted to share that I had visited the EDA meeting, and that was a first for me, and I invite the whole community to come and see. I'm very appreciative of the individuals that served the authority there. It was a 20-minute open to the public meeting. There was like 40 minutes maybe that were closed session after that. But so it was quick. It wasn't a lot of business. I see why we don't have more new business, because all they did was roll call and approve the minutes, which I appreciate minutes. And that's another reason that brings me here to speak about the Landfill Advisory Committee meeting, because I didn't feel the minutes they approved accurately reflected the previous meeting we had had. There were facts stated by the chairman that were not in the minutes. And that had to do with trash in the wetlands, which seems worth documenting. So I would like to share with you and the county some brief tidbits about the Landfill Advisory Committee meeting. I'm very thankful for our new chair. We have Brendan Burke serving. And I'm very thankful he replaced Wallach Harding as our chair, and I'm thankful he's been chair for many years, and he has one more year to serve in his term. So I invite all folks in District 3 who are interested in his position to be ready when his term is up, because he says he will not be serving anymore. I am also interested in the position. During the meeting, we received a Vulture update. I learned that the Waste Management has a federal permit to kill 15 birds a year, which seems to need to be increased drastically. In this vulture removal, they've killed 50 birds and harassed away over 1,000. So they use sound, pyrotechnics, gunfire. They cannot harm the birds because of the migratory bird laws. The Landfill Advisory Committee seemed to be satisfied with just the vulture removal, which even the gentleman from the USDA said it would be a short amount of time before they will be back. I mean, we are a super supplier for the vultures. We could not see eye to eye, myself and members of the LAC, that it is not the responsibility of the neighbors to have to pay for the damages that they've incurred for just living beside the landfill. They've not actively gone anywhere. They're just going about their daily life. And now they have expenses that they're having to incur, and that just does not sit well with me. We also discussed the host fees, which y'all will discuss later. And I don't know if y'all have had a chance to watch the video. The audio quality leaves a lot to be desired. I was there and I had a hard time understanding myself. So we are, to my understanding, the only land, like Waste Management owns the land that our landfill is on. Others, I guess they have lease arrangements. So that was new to me. We are also one of 2 landfills in the state that accepts asbestos. We charge $10.10 a ton. Don Garrett, I believe, asked how much they got a ton, and there's not an answer because that's a private business, but that might be worth our consideration. We are also one of 2 landfills that accepts trash by rail. So that puts us to an advantage. And I don't think we necessarily realize the advantages or exercise the powers that we have as being in a host agreement with Waste Management. King George is the only other landfill that accepts trash by rail, and that's actually just a transfer station from Annapolis Junction, so it's a very different operation than what we have here. For some facts that Brian shared, January to June, 1.4 million in tipping fees, 480,000 tons In June, they drilled 22 new gas wells, adding to the hundreds that are there. The county, Brian said, the county receives the DEQ reports that show no violations. I think June 8th was the most recent one. I think it would be fair to ask for those to be shared with you as the board, the Landfill Advisory Committee, because I have a hard time just taking the word, and maybe there's more that goes on behind the scenes. But since y'all do not receive this sheet that shows the breakdown of what's coming in, how do we know we're getting paid right for asbestos or anything else? I just don't know where that information is. Let's see. Brian did report there was a 9.7% increase in the annual monitoring fee, which if you know what the annual monitoring fee is, that's how much Waste Management pays the county per year. Part of that goes towards our paying the landfill inspectors and testing. So I had to ask, what does that make the amount? And he replied, $242,463. I then continued to ask questions about the land we call the pork chop, where they're borrowing dirt, and the graves that they're working on there. And he replied to me that that was not in the purview of the Landfill Advisory Committee. So I'm like, what are you talking about? So you go back and look, and I don't know how it's written, or maybe somebody here could help me understand. But to me, I would think we would want all land owned by Waste Management to fall under the Landfill Advisory Committee, because it says they are there to help oversee operations, or at least be some sort of accountability. So it just seems a little lacking to me. Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Beth Stanley. I live at 6611 Dennisville Road. I'm in District 3. I have been at every single planning commission meeting, every board meeting, and the workshop involving this solar farm. You all know how I feel. Totally against it. I helped get 612 signatures from residents of this county that don't want it. That alone should say something to the board. Understand you've got a job to do. You have to do what's best for the county. But I think 612 people that took the time to sign a petition, to email, to text, to call, and to be present at these meetings stands all by itself. Nothing else really needs to be said. I do want to make one comment, and that is the gentleman that got up and talked about this is going to create a lot of jobs in the county. I think that's great. But if we already have a solar farm that you can't even get the grass cut, what does that say about jobs? Where are those people that this is going to bring all these jobs, and we don't even have people to do the job on the solar farm that is already here? You ride by Hardee's, McDonald's, Food Lion, signs up, hiring. We are hiring. We need help. Where are the people that are going to support and work at these businesses? How do you think we're going to get all these people to take care of this solar farm? Thank you for your time.
Else? Go on with the agenda then. Thank you for the comments. EDOT?
Good evening. To give an update on our area headquarters operations over the last month, they've been completing asphalt patching on select routes throughout the county. In addition, they've been performing mowing throughout the county. They're approximately 80% complete with their first round of secondary mowing, and then they'll be moving back to the primary routes for the second round of mowing. They've completed 2 pipe replacements on Route 681 Clementown Road, and there was also a full-depth reclamation pavement project out there as well. It has since been surface treated. And our specialty crew has completed the rural rustic project on Route 657 Selma Road. And they will be going back in probably a week or two to sweep the excess stone off that route once traffic has had some to cure that surface treatment. In terms of traffic studies and special requests, the Route 609 sign installations have been completed. Since the Route 360 bridge project is completed, I made a request to traffic engineering for that updated speed study for the 55-mile-per-hour section. They've clarified the limits of the study and are scheduling traffic counters to complete that speed study. In the last month, I met with the county administrator and director of emergency management regarding emergency vehicle bridge postings. This is a federal requirement from the U.S. Department of Transportation for reviewing load ratings of all structures and bridges. And so they'll have postings specifically for emergency vehicles. Met with Director of Emergency Management to give them a heads up. We've received locations of concern from them and have brought that back to Structure and Bridge to further evaluate and see if we can make accommodations for those emergency vehicles. For construction, as I mentioned, the Route 360 bridge replacements project is complete. Surface treatment schedules, the contractor has been patching various routes during the last couple weeks and the rest of the month of July. And then their surface treatment crews will be coming into Powhatan and Amelia at the end of August to complete that surface treatment. The Route 632 Dikeland Road bridge replacement is underway. It started June 13th and just spoke to the superintendent of that crew this morning, and things are advancing there well, and they anticipate being complete within that 3-month closure that we Route 636 North Lodore Road over Flat Creek, those bridge scour repairs began last Monday, July 11th, and they anticipate an 8-week closure and detour for those repairs. And then one final one that was not included in the report is Route 621 Folks Bridge over the Appomattox. That's a project being administered by VDOT's Lynchburg district. And as you all know, it was closed in fall 2021, November, anticipated a 12-month closure. And that construction manager has informed that it is on schedule for substantial completion by early October and a fixed completion by early November. The truss has been delivered and is being assembled, and they anticipate pouring the concrete deck in early September. So those are the updates I have this month.
Thank you for the job you do. And I got 2 things.
Yes, sir.
Speed study on 360.
Mhm.
Just what part of 360 are you talking about? Because I've had some citizens, comment they would like to see it from Goodman Truck and Tractor to Winningham Market.
Okay. So it encompasses the entire limit of the 55-mile-per-hour section currently, which I believe starts just east of the Signal at Goods Bridge and continues. I believe I could clarify those limits, but it's the current 55-mile-per-hour section.
Well, there's lots of businesses, right through that stretch.
Correct.
Of 360. And 2, it's doing a good job on 681 by widening it up. Them tractor and trailers can now pass pretty easily the way job they done.
Okay. I understand maybe we have a little ditching to do out there that they might have gotten overzealous with the
Yeah, I
ditches,
got a
so we'll
phone
take
call
care of
from
that.
one lady about that, but everything's okay.
Sir.
Put an update on the folks. School board?
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Dr. Harper sends her regrets for not being with us this evening. The start of the new school year is just around the corner. Convocation for Amelia County Public School staff is scheduled for Monday, August 1st, beginning at 8:30 a.m. in the high school auditorium. We hope you will be able to join us for this upcoming event. Our new teachers begin orientation this coming Tuesday, July 26th. Our returning staff will report on Monday, August 1st, and we look forward to meeting our students and families during open house on Thursday, August 4th from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Our first day of school for the 2022-2023 school year is Wednesday, August 10th. Amelia County Public Schools is hosting an auction of old equipment items this coming Saturday morning, July 23rd, beginning at 10 a.m. Mr. Bo Lynch will be leading this function. Please feel free to reach out to him if you have any questions. In your packet this evening, you have the June financial reports. Mrs. Bullock and Mr. Trump are here to share this information with you. We are pleased to introduce Mr. Daniel Trump, our new Director of Finance and School Nutrition. Mr. Trump earned his bachelor's degree from Longwood University with a major in English and secondary education. He earned a master's degree in English from Longwood University, and he earned a master's degree in educational leadership from Virginia Commonwealth University. Mr. Trump was an English teacher in Prince Edward County for 5 years before joining Amelia County Public Schools as an English teacher at the high school where he taught for 5 years. The past 4 years, Mr. Trump has served as the assistant principal at Amelia County Middle School. As part of his onboarding into this new role, over the last weeks, Mr. Trump has been receiving training from Mr. Bob Ayler, a retired school finance director from the Virginia Department of Education, who most recently worked as the finance director in Halifax County. Mrs. Bullock has also graciously provided Mr. Trump with training and support as well. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Trump this evening.
Good evening. You have in your board packet our June FY22 financial report. At this point in the year, assuming that we accrue 13% of our budgeted expenditures back, we'd anticipate revenue and expenditures at about 87%. We're well below that, with revenues and expenditures at 80.44%. The 13% of the budget that's accrued back to prior year includes July payroll for 10 and 11-month employees, some June summer school payroll that'll be paid in July, utility payments, and many outstanding invoices at the end of the year, just to name a few. Sales tax revenue will also be accrued back into FY22. Many outstanding federal grant reimbursements will also be accrued back to FY22. We're currently anticipating unspent FY22 funds in the amount of $800,000. Almost half of these unspent funds are from the state for FY22 awarded revenue that was awarded June 22nd, 2020. This only gave ACPS about a week to. The remainder of the unspent funds in FY22 is primarily due to staffing shortages. For example, we had 2 unfilled positions throughout. Even your board pack. When the FY22 ACPS budget was created, it wasn't anticipated that participation in the cafeteria would increase as much as it. Because of this, the cafeteria budget was too low for FY20. We're asking for an additional appropriation of $120,000 to be added to both revenue and expenditure lines in the cafeteria fund. This additional appropriation only allows us to reimburse revenues and expenditures for fiscal year FY22. This appropriation requires local match and costs the county.
Any questions from the board? The 351, 113 is what was.
That's state. This
state
additional state.
We did 2 months ago, right?
Haven't done that. The school appropriated that at the closeout meeting. It was We got a calc tool from the state that awarded.
Did something too much. In point something and then that exact figure. So I'm just trying to get it straight.
We did over $1 million. That was mostly the.
Any board members have any questions? Put something in the form of a motion?
Make a motion to approve all three appropriations.
Explain the other two.
Oh, yeah.
They're very clear.
Ross? See, is that better? Okay. We're also asking for your approval to appropriate $351,113 in state funding awarded to ACPS on June 22nd, 2022. This is for the FY22 budget. I'm not sure if you remember, but the state kind of drug their feet approving the budgets this year, and there was a caboose bill that impacted the current year budget. And so this appropriation also cost the county no additional money. It has no local match. The last one, we're asking for our 2022 unspent funds to be carried into FY23 due to lead times being long and changes in Virginia code. For example, ACPS ordered replacement windows and doors for the small white building beside the school board office, and we were quoted a 21-week lead time. This is over 5 months. We also had ACHS painted this spring. Because the project was so large and vendors have to work around student schedules, the only way to accomplish this task was to have multiple vendors paint, and because of the short turnaround time, several vendors refused to quote. If we wait until December to request carryover funds like we normally do, there's a chance that due to procurement issues, we won't be able to meet school division needs. Also, based on VDOE's Superintendent's Memo 138-22, it says, Section 22.1-100 of the Code of Virginia requires school divisions to return unexpended state funds to the Commonwealth at the close of each fiscal year. Chapter 1, 2022 Special Session 1, Acts of Assembly, overrides this code section and permits school divisions that have met required local effort and required local match for fiscal year 2022 to carry forward to fiscal 2023 any remaining state direct aid fund balances that are unexpended as of June 30, 2022. Chapter 1 of the 2022 Special Session Acts of Assembly also encourages certain local funds to be carried over into fiscal year FY23 pursuant to the following language. And this is all out of code. Localities are encouraged to allow school boards to carry over any unspent local allocations into the next fiscal year. To be eligible to carry forward any local fund balances from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23, school divisions must meet their required local effort and required local match expenditure obligations in FY22, which we have. In addition to long lead times and the language passed in the Virginia Code and the General Assembly in a 2022 special session, $351,113 in state funding was awarded to ACPS on June 22nd, 2022. This left only a week to spend that money. We're asking for your permission to carry over unspent FY22 funds into FY23.
There's a motion on the floor. Do all three. Mr. Easton, would you rather do one at a time?
No. No, as all three require no additional funding from the county and are consistent with state legislation's desires, I propose my motion is to approve all three.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve all three. Board's pleasure. Favor? Opposed? Failed. I'd rather take them one by one. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion we do it.
Okay, Mr. Jones, would you like to make a motion on the first one?
Yeah, make a motion to, we return the, 351,000 state funds.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to approve the 351. Raise your hand. Motion carries. Second one. What's pleasure?
Make a motion that, we return the 120,000 to cafeteria revenue.
Motion on the floor to return the 120 for the cafeteria. All in favor, raise your hand. All right, what's the board's pleasure on the last one?
Motion to approve, consistent with the request from the state legislation.
Motion to approve the carryover. More discussion? I do feel it's a little early. Normally later part of the year. All those in favor of returning the carryover, raise your hand. Opposed? All right, that brings us to the Board of Supervisors activity and committee reports. Mr. Robinson?
Attended the landfill committee meeting, and we have a Great Duck Derby for the PSA coming up in September. If anybody, I left a few up front, if anybody would like to donate, sponsor some ducks to float down the river. First place winner gets $1,000, second gets $500, third gets $250. Never been to it. They say it's a pretty good family outing. Young kids love it. Appreciate some support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rob. Mr. Easter?
I spent a good bit of time talking to citizens around the landfill concerns, many of which were brought up today. I had requested that Waste Management be here tonight and that topic be for the Board of Supervisors to discuss, and remain concerned that the Landfill Advisory Committee, which does not have authority and only meets every quarter, continues to be the only point of management from the county, and that we as a board are not taking a more active approach. Also, spent time with the Commissioner of Revenue. As we've all, a couple weeks ago, got requests from the Commissioner of Revenue to adjust the tax relief for elderly and disabled citizens. She sent detailed information to us multiple times. A week ago, she followed up saying she hadn't received any questions from most of us, but would be happy to handle it. She also advised us that if we didn't handle it this month, then it would be too late for the citizens to get that relief this year, as the deadline is next month due to the timing of the tax bills. I think it's very unfortunate that was removed and that we are not going to be offering that to the citizens, as most of them have been priced out of it because it was back from, I think, 2007 that the last rate was set. Those are the only activities from this month that I need to speak to.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Piedmont Jail this morning, folks in Amelia doing fairly well because we're down our residents there and met with social services this morning.
Few of my meetings have actually been moved, postponed, and so I haven't yet. Some our workshop and then with more meetings with just individual citizens the past month. Still working on the radio system as well.
Mr. Jones?
I'm sort of in the same boat, Mr. White. Most of mine's been postponed or delayed this month.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to committee appointments. We have some library appointments.
agenda. We've got an introduction of new employee. Jane Henderson is going to introduce Mrs. Mundry, who is the new 4-H agent in Amelia.
Afternoon, good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I'm excited to introduce our new 4-H Associate Extension Agent for Amelia County, Ms. L.K. Mundry, and also to make sure that you know that you have an open invitation to any of our programs that we're offering. So give her a chance to.
Good evening. My name is L.K. Mundry. My name is L.K. Mundry. I grew up I was born and raised in Nottoway County, and my family is here with me tonight. I did marry an Amelia native, Carlos Mundry, and then our kids, Jesse and Jasper. Tonight, we tend to do things as a family, so seeing them. Like I said, I was born and raised in Nottoway. I grew up in the 4-H programming there. I would say it was a thriving program under the leadership of Michael Clifford, who today resides in Amelia. It was a very active, and my family was very active at the local, district, state, and national levels. I would love to see those opportunities provided for the youth of Amelia at all of those different levels. That will take time, but there are opportunities, anything from traditional agricultural-based clubs like livestock and horse to and shooting sports to things like robotics, engineering. 4-H offers curriculum, programs, opportunities, and competitions at just about every level, even the international level. So bringing what the community is interested in here and helping that to grow is what I would love to do. So I'm excited about that possibility. We are, since I started a few weeks ago, we have been prepping for 4-H camp, which if you're not familiar with 4-H camp, we go to 4-H Holiday Lake, the educational center there in Appomattox. And our cluster, we go with Mecklenburg, Lunenburg, and Brunswick counties. This year, we're taking 222 youth, and we'll spend a week there, Monday through Friday, and they'll learn things like archery and canoeing and team building. And so we're excited about that. It takes a lot of work and preparation, but that is next week, so I'll be going next week. And we do have, there has been an active horse club, and they have a couple kids going to, they're on the state hippology team, so they're going to nationals in a few weeks in Georgia. And then they are also busy prepping for the state horse show, which is in September. So those are the things that we have coming up. I'm actually going to Blacksburg on Saturday. I'm an all-star. Everybody in my family was a 4-H all-star. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's the centennial celebration of the all-stars. So I'm taking my dad, and we're going for the day to help all the other all-stars kind of celebrate that. So that's exciting too. So that's what we have going on as we have other things. I would invite everyone here to, if you're interested in joining our programs, 4-H runs on its adult volunteers. And it's a little bit more complicated process than it used to be to get involved. There's an online form, and you do have to have a background check. Anybody that's involved with our youth do. So I'd encourage anybody that's interested in getting involved to give me a call at the office and need any help. And glad to be here to meet you all, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Welcome to Amelia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey, for that. Committee appointments to the library. We got two. Ms. Brown and Ms. Holman. Sean, since you sit on the library, can you elaborate on this?
I talked to Jill today, and she's not gotten resumes. She's asked for resumes from both of the recommendations they had last month. She's received nothing as of 5 o'clock today.
Do we want to, we don't want to keep dragging this thing out. Do we want to make a motion to go and approve these two for the library board?
Well, there.
It's not two, it's
No,
one.
One.
And I don't know either person and have any information to make a decision.
These
between
two are
them.
rolling off, actually. So the two that
That's not clear here.
were put forward by the library board last month
New applicant.
New applicant.
Yes, Phyllis, I talked to Phyllis.
Which are
Brown.
these?
She don't want, she won't.
But we don't have any information to make
Okay,
a
all
decision.
right. I get, I'm pretty sure they're advertising, looking for people, and I'll talk it up in District 1, see if I can come up with any. All right, waste management host fees. LAC voted to leave them as the same. Hear your comments, Mr. Easter. Waste management personnel declined to come tonight.
Says a lot.
I think a lot of things were handled at the LLC. Some of Mrs. Cruz's comments were dealt with that I heard, so. Moving on to the shooting range. Lee County shooting range.
Mr. Chairman, if Kyle Woolridge is here, this is actually his project. Kyle, if you would come forward and
So just to be clear, my topic that I asked for, that's all we're going to talk about it? Was just, it's already handled somewhere else?
No, we can go back to it.
Nope, I got it.
The floor is yours. I mean,
I got it. Thank you.
can't
Think
speak
that-
for waste management.
Nor was that the agenda request. It was for administration to have prepared a discussion on that, and if it's not, we'll continue. I think we can understand why the citizens are so frustrated.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Easter. Mr. Woolridge?
Today, we're asking for a shooting range for the sheriff's office. Packet in your document should have. What I'm asking for is to be able to use property located at the end of Crowder Road, which is already county property. It's the old landfill, so to my knowledge, can't be used for much at the moment. Currently, the county is dumping fill dirt back there. To my benefit, all I'm asking for is to move the fill dirt strategically from random piles to a set pile on the backside of the property. If you can see on the map, there are no residences behind the area I'm seeking to use from the end of Crowder all the way to the other side of Whitaker. So no residences would be in the area. And as far as sound, there's two lumber yards right there on each side of the road, so it should deaden or mask almost any sound we would produce. And it's already partially fenced off and gated with no trespassing signs that should prevent anybody from coming back there that's not actively involved with us in a safe manner. They've put up on the screen. Again, we're not asking, the only cost to the county would be to move the dirt from one place on the property to another place on the property. We'd be hanging our own targets and things like that. We're not asking for a building. We're not asking for move-in targets or anything like that. Just simply a place to go with a berm that we could be able to utilize our own training.
What's your hours? It won't be every day, I'm sure, but.
No, not at all. It'd be a couple of times a year. Mid-morning until probably lunch, a couple of times a year. And if it's a year, we'd like to be able to get in and do some night shooting. Which again, that would take an hour. Yes.
Gate will be locked.
Yeah, it's currently locked, yeah.
This is, speaking of Mr. Klomper's part, I think this is more in line for just law enforcement at this time.
At this time, yes.
Don't know what's down the road. We already have one public shooting range in the county.
That is actually the DJIF property. And since I used to work there, I can speak on it a little bit. That is private just for them. They don't even let their own officers go down there and shoot. And their range is only open certain times. And it's only allowed certain weapons. For example, we can't even shoot our handguns there. Only shotgun and only rifle in specified areas and specified manner. So that's not available to us or them.
Are you going to shoot long guns at this range too?
Yes.
What
Long
you're
guns.
proposing?
Yes, we'll be every weapon that we carry. So it'd be long guns and pistols. Because currently, I'm sure y'all don't know, but currently we have to travel outside of the county to be able to qualify, which is mandatory. We'd like to be able to do something closer to the county so we don't have to leave the county.
Y'all have firearms instructors? Ms. Steele, does this meet ordinance.
First, I'm hearing about it, so I really can't say. I would probably need a little more information. That's good that it's not open to the public because that would definitely require a special exception permit. But I'll have to go back and look at this at the office now that.
Based on my knowledge, the noise board.
We can currently shoot anywhere we want, any way we want. Just trying to do it in a safe, proposed manner. We already own the land, so they can go shoot there now. He just wants to work for him, right?
County owns it, yeah.
Yeah, that's, we the citizens.
Monday through Saturday? No Sunday?
He found me.
I'm happy to see somebody try to utilize that. Something.
How the berm, you thinking it needs
As
to
big
be?
and tall and wide as we can get.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean, I'm not
figured.
gonna limit it. I mean, it would have to be big enough that lynched and shot high, something would stop it. Obviously, we're gonna make it safer than we'd ask anybody in the county. to use.
What's the closest residence?
Several miles. If we can scroll to one of the pictures on the GIS tax map, I actually included from the end of Crowder to Whitaker, and there's nothing. See the top picture there. So the top right-hand corner where the little circle is, that's basically the end of Crowder where the shooting range would be. And then the far left corner doesn't even show Whitaker. It's a lot of acreage. I don't know the exact number or distance, but it's a long.
I'm very much in support of it. Steele said, sure that this doesn't require, don't want us to do something that we wouldn't ask for.
Comfortable making that assurance right now. I would just like to go back and look it over before I publicly make that assurance.
The only thing I would ask or argue, as far as I know, we don't require anything for a turkey shoot.
Yep,
So
they're
you-
required to have a special
We do.
exception
Okay.
permit as well.
Okay.
We have to approve. I'm very supportive, to be clear. I don't imagine there's any concern. As we said, we can go out and shoot on our own property all the time. My only concern is the fact that there was no transparency to what the request was. And I don't know that that's you. I don't know who. We got a bunch of pictures with no explanations in the book, didn't explain what was supposed to be done. I don't feel comfortable voting on something tonight that we didn't make clear to the public what was going to be happening. But then again, I don't think you need a vote because I don't see anything that you're asking for us to do.
Why don't we just, make a motion to study it for the next, and bring it up on the next board meeting?
Making a motion?
Yeah. Mhm.
Motion on the floor to table this for 30 days. Discussion? I have some. I'm very much in support of it. Just don't want to set a precedence where Lee County is not following the same rules that we have. Table it for 30. Answer the questions. Need a special permit.
Thank you.
Oh, hold on, we didn't vote. Any more discussion? All in favor of tabling the shooting range for the sheriff's office till next month, raise your hand. Opposed? The Amelia Technology Systems and Social Media, been told that's still in a draft form. Still some recommendations being sent in. Or can you elaborate on that? Or?
Yeah. Actually, I think there is a final recommended form. The exhibit that was put in the book was the one that was written up, so the red, you could see where the changes were made, so you can see how the thinking evolved. But there is a,
What page is that in the book? I've been told book and didn't find it.
would be under tab
Well, I
number
don't
7 in my book.
pay for the county to print, so. What's it before or following? I have the whole electronic version.
I bet under under number 6, try D.
No. You click that and it goes back to the agenda. There's nothing actually included for that. No, I'm in the one that got sent out to us as the book. Mhm.
Okay, what do you want to do, Mr. Easter? Do you want to get you a copy of it?
I think we should all have copies before it goes out, yes. And at the same time, our minutes that we approved earlier said tonight we were going to revisit the surplus property policy, but I don't see that either.
That's not on there, and that's because we didn't have time to do the research to get the information from the county, existing information from the county into the system.
All right, well, let's table the Amelia technology system and social media policy till everybody gets a copy. I had mine. I read through it. It's pretty much what the IT committee comes. Can I get a motion to, we table this for till next month?
I make a motion that we postpone it to the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Motion on the table to postpone the technology system policy review. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. It brings us to the personal property tax relief resolution.
You just note I did not vote on it. You didn't do nays or anything, but I abstained on that one. I didn't vote on that. He didn't do did anyone vote against it or abstain? So I just note I abstained.
Thank you, Mr. East. The personal property tax relief resolution. Board's pleasure. This is mainly some housekeeping.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving the tax relief resolution, raise your hand. All right, that brings us to the special exception permit for Amelia Energy Facility. Do you have any updates?
Yes, there have been no material changes to the project. However, the applicants have proposed one additional condition, and Sam Gland with Torch Clean Energy is going to walk you all through that new condition. Sean, if we could get his PowerPoint and the clickers up there.
Thank you. Chairman, members of the board, it's good to talk to you again. And I'll be brief tonight, but I just wanted to remind you of a few things about this project. First of all, this will use no active farmland. The entirety of the project is on land that's been used to cultivate pine trees. A lot of that has been cut recently, and it's not taking up any active farmland. Additionally, as mentioned before, we will have a panel setback of 1,000 feet from any existing residence and road. And for reference, there's not a county in Virginia that has that type of requirement. That's an extremely long distance. A lot of that area, that 1,000 feet, usually about half of it, is mature vegetation. If I walk 30 feet into the woods near Tanner's Branch, you will not see me. So 1,000 feet is very substantial. We did add one additional condition that we offered. I wanted to explain it. This is on the east side of the project. As I mentioned, the Tanner Branch is that swamp area that's kind of the eastern limit for us. And that parcel has a thin strip of dry land on the east side. And that was timbered by the landowner. That had nothing to do with us. The landowner was ready to timber that land anyway. And that land was never going to be part of our project. But we saw an opportunity here to establish a meadow of native grasses and wildflowers, pollinator-friendly seed, stuff that bees like. And that would replace part of what was pine trees and was clear cut. If you look at the picture, that's kind of standing at that, where that orange triangle is, looking south, and on your left is that tree line near those homes on West Creek. And I think this would be a good thing for the agriculture uses around it. These pollinator-friendly seeds improve farmland and help farmland. I think it would also be something nice to look at for the neighbors. And this is something we're trying on a couple projects where we have buffer land that's not part of the panel area. So it's fairly simple. This is something we would install during the construction of the project and maintain during the life. Once you have a meadow established, it's pretty easy to maintain, but there are health benefits. And again, I would say, I respect everybody that spoke earlier, and they certainly have the right to. But I would say with these buffers, they are not going to see the project, and they're not going to hear it. And we're about Poorhouse Road, for instance, we're about a mile from Poorhouse. We're not using that for access. We're not using that logging road. And this is an extremely project with pretty extreme setbacks when you look at what is common in Virginia and would have very real benefits for the county. So thanks again for the opportunity to speak. I hope you'll allow our landowners that we're working with to take advantage of an opportunity in this very particular part of the county. And happy to take any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Board members have any questions?
Yes, I got something.
Sir.
Sam, regardless of how this is voted on tonight, as long as I'm on this board, and being, you said it's not in sight of any neighbors around there and all the off the road. If y'all can't take no better pride in this facility than what's on 616 over there where I live, it's a disgrace to that company. It just shows what they care about the neighbors. And I got some real good friends that can throw a rock over there and hit this facility. The weeds is almost touching the bottom of the panels. I rode through there today. I live there. I go by it constantly. I doubt if the previous board that voted for these has ever been by there. I don't know. But it just shows you what this company that's putting them in, how much they care about the community. There's trash out there. There's just stuff haphazardly thrown all around out there. And the weeds, even though it's under construction, they could have kept it clean. They could have kept the grass cut to show that they had pride in this job. I'm gonna, if it's passed and I'm on this board, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna uphold y'all to that. Take care of them, because we live in Amelia. Y'all don't. We have pride in our county. I don't know what y'all have. And that's all I ask. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Sam, any discussion from the board? What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. There's a motion on the floor to approve this, the Amelia Energy Facility. Any more? All in favor? Your hand. All opposed? Motion carries. Hey, gentlemen. I will speak. Folks that were opposed to this, you might not believe it, but we really did our research. Brings us to the next thing. It's the siting agreement for the energy facility. This was postponed from a month or two ago. What's the board's pleasure on this?
Make a motion that we approve.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Motion on the floor to approve the siting agreement. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Special event for field days.
Appreciate it.
Okay. We have an application for Field Day of the Past to be held September 16th, 17th, and 18th at Redfield Farm. They're anticipating about 15,000 people, but of course it could be more. It'll be the same things as last year pretty much. They're going to have historical and family events, historical reenactments, truck and tractor pulls, carnivals, arts and crafts, food, rodeo, antique vehicles. They have vendors for sanitation facilities. Trash will be picked up by Prior. Crowd management will be handled by staff and security. The sheriff's office will have a presence on the grounds, and the state police will be managing the highway and message boards again. Parking will be handled by the same company as last year, and they have tested the sound at the property, and it does not exceed 65 decibels, and any loudspeakers used will point towards the ground. They've been having planning meetings with emergency management all year, so they have a good plan worked out and are continuing to work on that plan. So there have been no concerns from department heads on this request.
Thank you, Ms. Steele. And I also have been working with emergency management, make sure county will be still taken care of. What's the board's pleasure?
Just one question before that. You said department heads are fine. There's no, on any of the permits that are coming up next, there's no marks on any of them. Is that just they were included in the book, like where it has the approvals for different people?
Oh, let me speak to that for a second. So when these permits go to the board, those lines do not get signed. Every permit gets sent to all department heads, and I take the comments. Those only get signed when we handle the permit administratively for smaller special events.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve. Oh, sorry,
That's
you can
right. Go ahead.
have it.
No, you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. Motion on the floor to approve the event permit for field days. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Carries. Special event permit for Fright Fest.
Yes. Will Jones has applied to hold Amelia Fright Fest again at Tom Scott Park. It will be September 30th and then every weekend in October from 3 p.m. to midnight. He's anticipating about 500 to 1,000 people per night, and he will have toilets and washing stations, and parking will be provided on site and then also at the VFW. And he has already arranged with the rescue squad to have whatever he may need there.
Thank you, Ms. Steele. What's the board's pleasure on the Fright Fest?
I'd like to make a motion to approve Fright Fresh.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
I couldn't get that out. It didn't come out very good. Fright Fest.
Fright Fest.
Yeah.
Maybe it scared him a little.
Yeah, you got
Y'all scared me.
got scared.
Joseph made me nervous.
All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Special event permit for MMA.
Yes. Will Jones has applied to hold a mixed martial arts controlled competition at the high school. This will be on November 5th from 9 to midnight, and he's expecting about 1,500 people. They'll be using the high school facilities for restrooms and things like that, and high school clubs will be doing the concessions. And the rescue squad has also spoken with him as well, and they will have one standby ambulance there. No other concern.
Thank you, Ms. Steele. Board's pleasure on the MMA.
A motion to approve?
Thank you, Mr. White. Motion on the floor for approval. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Virginia 250.
Mr. Chairman, this is a commission that's been formed by the Commonwealth to celebrate the 250th anniversary of Virginia. Looking for all local governments, all counties to establish a local committee to help participate in that. There is a resolution that they have provided, a template for one, as well as they're looking for a local designee to serve on, interact with them, actually a liaison. See on top of that last page, I have a recommendation there who is the head of the Amelia County Historical Society. He's just gotten back into town from having been traveled across the country, so I have not talked to him about that, but he would be somebody worthy to visit with. The liaison position.
What's the person's name?
That's,
Think he's good with it?
Talk to him.
he's very much involved, and this is a lieutenant colonel.
What's the board's pleasure? He was voluntold or volunteered. We got somebody. I think we ought to let him do it.
Well, he's ex-military. He knows how that works.
I'll go out on a limb then. I think he'd be great. I have no issues, but if you just said you haven't talked to him, I don't feel good about voting someone into a position where we send their name to the state to serve on something they haven't even been talked about. So that's my take. And I don't feel like there's enough information here about the committee itself. I don't have any problem with it. Don't really know what the committee would do. But I think it'd be great to solicit volunteers over the next month, and then based on what volunteers we get, go from there.
I mean, I agree with the idea. It sounds like a fun time, but I would hate to commit the county and then nobody step up to do it. That's the only issue.
Are you want to hold this off till next month? Talk to him.
Postpone.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Motion on the floor to let that sit for 30 days. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Carries. We got one other thing. What we added to the agenda was the workshop. We had a workshop on July 7th. We had one topic to discuss. Another one kind of rose up. The first one was the solar ordinance review. It has been through the zoning board with recommendations. Came to us, the board of supervisors has got some more recommendations. With that, consensus of the board at the workshop to send that back to the planning commission to start the process of the public hearings and redoing the ordinance, and also adding a amendment to the comp plan. Targets solar facilities. So that is in the process. I think the planning commission hears it Monday night. Start that process. The second thing we did, we allocated $6,900. Budget went through. There was a 5% raise for county employees. State was also given a 5% for the comp board employees. They didn't start their raise till August 1st. $6,900 to get all the fully paid comp people, partially paid. Just going to give them their 5%, and the county ate that. Just wanted to let everybody know that we actually workshop, but there wasn't that many people. Thank you. County Administrator.
All right, the county administrator's report for the month of June, check from Waste Management was up a bit, $278,482.18. The Commonwealth Regional Council submitted its items of interest for June. It's tab number 17. They did not meet today. Canceled the meeting for the month to scheduling conflicts that a couple of them had. Anybody's got any questions about that? I think Mr. Jones or Mr. Phelps or myself be happy to entertain them. Next item up is the DMV Select monthly report. Accrued compensation for the calendar year is $21,322. For the month, is $3,282. And Columbia Gas of Virginia is providing notice of its application for the authority to increase rates and charges. So this is in front of the Corporation Commission. And then we have under tab 20, we have the quarterly reports. I'd be happy to take any questions on any of those.
The quarterly reports. Moving on to the board member comments. Before I start, does anybody have anything they want to discuss? There will be a need for closed session shortly. Mr. Jones, you want to go first?
Know that voting on this solar project was probably one of the toughest things I've had to decide. Even though I may have voted for it, I'm not for solar. But these folks have went through the hoops for us. And I feel though that unlike what I said a while ago, most people is not going to be able to see this and it's not going to affect them like they are. I mean, some gentlemen come in here worried about the truck traffic and all that. I got a dump site on our road. We got waste management trucks just flying up and down the road all week long. We live with it. And they'll live with that because it's only temporary. Up and going, it won't be that much in there. Hopefully it's going to be a good thing for the people. Like I said, I wasn't crazy about the way I voted. I voted the way I thought I had to, not the way my heart really wanted me to. Sam, I'd like to speak to you for your evening. Nothing major, just a little.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. White?
First, I'd like to let everybody know that the Sheriff's Office is putting on the second National Night Out on August 2nd. It's the first Tuesday in August. Going to be in the Courthouse Square again, just like last year. Completely free event. They're pretty much getting everything donated again. Food. There's going to be a DJ. Hopefully, we're planning to have more vendors, more things for kids to do this time to try to expand it, as well as police, fire, rescue. Come check out the trucks. So bring your kids, your grandkids, or just, it's a cheap, free date night. Just don't tell your spouse that you didn't have to pay for it. Tell everybody you know. I believe the deputies are actually, all or most of them are going to be there, and they're planning on getting like a special T-shirt to designate who they are. So I know we have a lot of new guys, and it would be great for everybody to come out and meet them and just see them, you know, as they should be, just community members, just like us. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope to see everybody there. Other than that, as Mr. Jones said on the solar farm, I mean, I'm not crazy about solar. I don't really care either way. But there are some more important factors. And one thing that I am is anti-government. I'm pro-small government, shrinking it down. I'm pro-land rights, landowners' rights. And, you know, sometimes people don't realize certain ways that governments vote, it sets precedents for the future that comes. And I don't want people particularly telling me what to do with my land, and I don't want to try to be the one telling other people to do with what they want to do with their land. I know there's a lot of people here that tonight, as well as that I've heard from, that oppose it. The people that oppose it don't realize, though, there's a lot of people that support solar, as well as the bulk of Amelia County just seems to really, they really don't care. They're absolutely neutral. They might care if it was beside their house. That's to be debated. But for this particular project, unlike the apartments where it was 99-1 that opposed, this time I've heard from less than 30 people personally that opposed the solar farm. You're talking about 13,000 people. That's not a lot, even with 600 signatures. So, you know, if we're here for the majority and to listen to the majority, we really need to think about the whole county and do what's best for the citizens overall. As far as being a sellout, I don't have to defend myself on that. I could care less about money. I wouldn't care if this project wasn't bringing a dime for the county. That doesn't make, it's about rights. It's about freedom, what you want to do. There's no money in the world that can buy our freedom of choice.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mr. Robinson?
Not a solar fan either. I don't actually believe in the panels. But that's just my personal opinion. And just like my personal opinion, I've told people before that the Webbs own a piece of land next to me, and it would not bother me at all if they put the solar farm right there, because it means there won't be houses there in the future. That's just my opinion. But I honestly believe that this board and the county will stay on top of this farm and make sure it's done right and it's clean and it keeps everybody happy. We'll do the best we can do. Y'all have a good summer.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Easter?
I think a lot of good things have already been said. I just will say I'm personally looking forward to many of the activities that are coming up over the next couple months. We approved a number of new permits tonight. There's already some others that have been approved. I'm excited we're past the worst parts of COVID and to see all these things back in Amelia. I think, when we talk about what people want for the future in Amelia, I think one of the main things they want is to be able to get out, see neighbors in a small town environment. These are the kind of activities that I think we approved tonight that are consistent with Amelia and its history. I think in general, so I'll add on to the solar one a little bit too, but I think we have to be careful with all things that come to us that the people who speak the loudest don't necessarily represent the majority of people. Mr. Wyatt's experience is the same as mine, which is actually a really small number of people contacting me against it. And some of the ones who contacted me for it said they signed the petition against it because, as you can see, it's a very vocal group. It can be intimidating. And we experience that intimidation all the time. And people are willing to sign off on a petition just to avoid conversation and move on. So I think we have to be careful with that kind of thing. And I completely agree with Mr. Robinson's point about property rights, particularly for farmers. Most of you know I come from a farm family. While that's not what most people want for farmland, I think my family or anyone else ought to be able to do whatever they want with their land. And I personally prefer solar farms over housing developments as well. Housing developments cost the county a ton, bring in very little. Solar farms do bring in a lot and cost the county zero. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Easter. I'll follow that up on the solar farm, solar facilities. I was involved in the one on Genito. I'm not pleased with that. We have learned a lot. Very important to say we couldn't teach a class on solar. Make improvements on all of them, will keep making improvements. Not just brought here and there's a lot of research done. Staff, board members, come to that. Thank you all. All right, that brings us to closed session. We have two topics to go over. Wayne, we don't expect any action taken. I get a motion to go into.
Mr. Chairman, it's two matters, but they're under the same FOIA provision, same topic. So I'll cite one code provision. We need a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23711A3 to discuss potential acquisition of real property for public purposes where discussion in open session would adversely affect the county's bargaining position.
All right.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Easter. Motion on the floor. Go into closed session. 2.237.83. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, gentlemen.